If you were a kid in the 90s, you were probably a fan of the Die Hard series starring Bruce Willis, which means you may have been one of the people asking me to do the Die Hard 2 review. Hey 74 crew, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name's Kelsey. I'm a 747 pilot. My channel, 74 Gear, is all about aviation. So whether you're a pilot or an aviation enthusiast, consider subscribing. In this video, I'm going to break down Die Hard 2. In the movie, mercenaries take over Dulles International Airport in Washington, D.C. in order to try to free a drug lord. Today, we're going to see how Hollywood did in this Hollywood vs. reality. Let's get into it.
The problem's all over.
What's it look like?
No light.
Approach control, it's gone.
Jesus, instrument landing system is down.
Confirmed! ILS is dead! Every goddamn system's dead!
Every aircraft approaching our sector who are not already in our landing pattern gets diverted to their alternate airport now. Everyone already on approach or inside our pattern holds at the outer markers.
I still wonder, why does Hollywood want to use these technical terms and then never explain what those terms mean? But anyways, I'm going to explain to you what they mean. The first one they talk about is approach control.
Approach control, it's gone.
Approach control is essentially the section of air traffic control. As you're getting close to an airport, they start to space out the planes to get them in sequence in order to land on the different runways that they're going to be landing at. So approach control is essentially the part of air traffic control right before the aircraft gets onto tower, which actually is the one that clears the planes for takeoff and landing. The approach control is the one right before that. Next, he says the instrument landing system is down.
Jesus, instrument landing system is down.
Essentially, the instrument landing system is something that is on the field itself, which gives the pilots a vertical and lateral path to come in and land at a given runway. I did a video about it earlier. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link to it in the description below. But essentially, it's a path that gives the pilots a way to come in and land at a given airport. He talks about the outer marker.
Holds at the outer markers.
The outer marker is something that's really not used very much now. I think it was more used back during this time in the 80s and 90s. If you're doing an instrument landing system, usually referred to as an ILS, the outer marker is going to be one of the furthest points away from the airport. There is an inner marker, an outer marker, and a middle marker. There are just 3 checkpoints on that ILS in some cases that lets the pilots know where they're at. And in some cases, there will be a light in the cockpit and a noise that they will hear as they're coming in on that approach. Then he talks about holding. If you've flown a lot as a passenger, you know that sometimes you're getting into an airport that has bad weather or there's too many planes coming in, and they'll have you do a circle pattern. It's actually more of an oval shaped pattern, but they'll have you do that until the weather has cleared or the traffic has cleared so you can come in and land. So those are some of the terms, and they actually use them a lot in the movie, so keep them in mind. But let's get back to the movie.
I want a 747 cargo conversion, fully fueled.
And placed at my disposal. You have 2 more minutes to advise your inbound aircraft to hold at their outer radio marker. After that, you will be able to receive only.
This is Dulles approach to all aircraft holding at Potomac Vortex. We are experiencing some technical problems here. The weather conditions, which have been deteriorating all day, have now been complicated by an unforeseen human factor. This has affected all of our electronic equipment and their redundant backups as well. As a result, our nav and approach systems are down, and we expect to lose voice in another minute. We want you to continue holding at the outer marker as directed and wait for further instructions. As soon as we're back online, we'll expedite your landings on a fuel emergency basis. Good luck. God bless.
First, I want to say that if your controller ever says to you, good luck and God bless, you need to go to another airport immediately. The reality is, unless you're taking a very short flight and the weather is perfectly clear, in most cases you're going to have an alternate airport that you're going to be able to go to in the event that the airport shuts down or terrorists take it over, but you're going to have a backup airport to go to in that scenario. That way, if air traffic control is saying something to you like, good luck and God bless, you can be like,
Peace out.
and then you'll just go to your plan B airport. So that's not something that you would ever hear anybody saying on the radio. Then you hear the terrorists asking for a 747 cargo conversion. A cargo conversion is a passenger plane which has been converted into a cargo plane. And there's really no reason that you would want one of those types of planes unless you were hauling a lot of cargo. And reality is, a typical 747, if you're just going to be moving your mercenaries or terrorists around, is going to have plenty of space for all the stuff you need to carry, so there's no reason to have a cargo conversion. I'm not really sure why they asked for a cargo conversion. All right, let's get back to it.
Give me a flight number. One that's low on fuel.
Windsor 114, transatlantic from London. Fuel tank Dries a Martini.
Activate the ILS landing system, but recalibrate sea level. Minus 200 feet.
Oh, Jesus. They've reset ground level, minus 200 feet.
Windsor Flight 114, this is Dulles Approach. Do you copy?
Dulles Approach, this is Windsor 114. Where the devil have you been?
Windsor 114, Dulles Approach. We've been right here all along, old buddy. Our systems only came back online just this very second. Windsor 114, you are cleared for ILS approach, runway 29er. Contact Dulles Tower frequency at the outer marker.
Jesus Christ, he's gonna crash the fucking plane!
Roger, approaching about time. I've got 230 people up here flying on petrol fumes.
So he asked for a plane that's low on fuel. Air traffic control doesn't know what our fuel status is unless we tell them. If we're low on fuel, we might say something like min fuel or declare an emergency because we're low on fuel, but they wouldn't know just by sitting on the ground, hey, this plane is dry as a martini. And before we ever really got that low on fuel, we would have just went to our alternate airport. They're not gonna know that. So there is no runway 29 at Dulles, at least there's not anymore, but I do have an example of an ILS at Dulles Airport. So we asked the guy to set the ILS for negative 200 feet. Now on every flight deck while we're flying, we have something called an approach plate. Here's an example of an approach plate for Dulles. And I know it looks complex because there's a lot of different things on here, but there are really just two things that I want you to see. You see this right here, it's an ILS here at Dulles Airport, and it shows this thing right here, which is the touchdown zone. That's the elevation of the runway. And down here at the bottom, you're gonna see an altitude. That altitude is if the pilots get to that altitude and they can't see the runway, they go back up in the air and they try again and try to come back in and land again. It's called a go-around. So there's really no way to set the ILS for negative 200 feet to cause the plane to crash because that thing that's helping the pilots come in and land is on the field, and the pilots are looking at that approach plate to make sure that everything that the plane is telling them and the ground is telling them is all matching. So if something's not gonna match, they're gonna go up and try it again. Let's get back into it.
Dulles, this is Windsor 114 inside the outer marker.
Roger 114. This is Dulles Tower. We have radar contact and show you on ILS. You're in the glide path and you're looking good.
Approach flaps.
Approach flaps.
Approach speed 140.
Approach speed 140.
130.
130. Altitude 1,000 feet.
800, guys. You're only at 800 feet.
Ref speed plus 20. 600 feet.
Looking good, Windsor. Now watch it. 30-knot crosswinds and the runway is icy. Atta boy, we've got you. We've got you.
First off, air traffic control is not going to hear everything that the pilots are saying unless we're holding the button that transmits to them. So in this scenario, air traffic control is actually listening to what the pilots are saying, and that's not exactly how it would work. And air traffic control is never going to be babying you down saying, we got you, we got you. That's never just something you're going to hear. If air traffic control is ever saying that to you, it's a trap. You need to go. Next, the reason they chose this plane to come in and land is because it was dry as a martini. There have been cases where there have been accidents from fuel starvation, meaning the plane ran out of fuel. And in those accidents, when the plane crashed, there was little to no explosion because a big cause of the explosion is the fuel actually exploding. Obviously, these pilots were really lying because that was an extremely large explosion, so they obviously had a lot of fuel on board. And another thing I just want to mention quickly, he's mentioning ref speed. Ref speed essentially is the speed that we are using to come in and land. And that's going to vary on our aircraft depending on the weight of the aircraft and our flap setting. So that speed is going to change. On larger aircraft, the range is a lot more than on smaller aircraft. But when he is mentioning ref speed, that's what he's referring to. That speed that we're going to use as we're coming into land. All right, let's get back to the movie.
What about the airphone idea?
There's 18 planes up there. Only 5 of them have those phones. We got through to 3 of them. We're still trying on the others.
At least 13 accidents waiting to happen. Are they still bucking headwinds?
I just checked the weather. Headwinds are slamming everybody over the outer marker. The planes with enough fuel have already been shunted to Atlanta, Memphis, and Nashville.
All right, let me just stop it right there because he's talking about going to those alternate airports where I was talking about earlier. He's talking about saying to Atlanta, Nashville, and other airports that are really far away. Generally speaking, you're going to be carrying fuel to get to your airport and a backup airport, which is called an alternate, and that's usually going to be something relatively close. You're not going to be going to Atlanta from Washington, D.C. You might be going to Baltimore, maybe Philadelphia, possibly Richmond. You're going to go somewhere that's pretty close. You're not going to take a really long flight to get down there. Also, he mentions the headwinds are bucking at the outer marker. I don't know why they keep mentioning this outer marker. They really are obsessed about talking about it in this movie, but that's not something that the pilots would really care about. The reason being is that if you're holding, you're going to have a tailwind one direction and a headwind the other direction. So it's not going to be something that's really going to have a huge impact on what's going on with your flight. In this next clip, the drug lord has broken free, has killed both pilots, and somehow shot out a window. Here we go.
Eagle Nest, this is Falcon, Mayday. Eagle Nest, this is Falcon, Mayday.
Go ahead, Falcon.
I've lost cabin pressure. Near zero visibility. I must drop out of this weather and land now on the first accessible runway. I see the lights. They are directly in front of me. Gracias, compadre. Reducing airspeed. Approaching runway. Wish me luck.
Okay, I gotta pause it there. So he says he lost cabin pressure. Obviously, he's low enough in the ground to not need an oxygen mask. If you saw the video that I did on Castaway, and I did that movie review when they had the explosive decompression, I talked about all the things that can happen when you lose your oxygen at a very high altitude. So obviously he's pretty low to the ground. The next thing I want to mention, he says he's near zero visibility. That means exactly what it sounds like. You can't see anything. Yet as soon as they turn on the runway lights, he's able to see them. So I'm not really sure how you have zero visibility and then you can see a runway several miles away, but this is Hollywood. And the last thing I want to mention to you is if you're a student pilot, don't take radio lessons from this guy. He's giving a play-by-play of what he's doing. You do not want to be doing that type of stuff on the radio. The one thing that this made me remember was pilots getting nicknames. The last thing you want to do in aviation is get a nickname. If you did something like this, your friends are going to start calling you a play-by-play Pete or something like that. And the last thing you want to get is a nickname. Mostly, if you have a nickname in aviation, it's rarely something that you've done very well. It's generally something that you've really messed up on. So you don't want to get a nickname. I can think of 3 pilots that have nicknames. None of them are good, so they are not something that you want to get. All right, back to it. Okay, so this is a 747. It's coming into the movie right now. And originally I wasn't going to put it in here, but I thought this made the 747 look so majestic. And I just love how there's this random guy here running across the hangar with a tire. I just thought it was funny, so I wanted to put it in there. All right, we'll go back to the movie.
Bring it in low! Keep over the wing! Lower!
Doing out on the wing of this plane.
Mierda. What? There's something wrong. The ailerons can't take off. Hijo de puta. Let's make lane again. Son of a bitch! I'll do him. This time, do it right.
You just get us in the air, General. You're the only man who can do it.
Don't shoot. That wing is fully fueled.
Okay, so Bruce Willis has jammed up the ailerons. The ailerons are essentially something that's far out on the wing like that, and it helps the plane to go left or right. It helps the plane bank left or bank right. Now, when you're taxiing, you're generally not moving that around to taxi. There's something next to your left hand or your right hand that you're using to actually move the tire on the ground and steer the plane. So you wouldn't really be moving that like it's showing in the movie, so there wouldn't be room for Bruce Willis to shove his fire jacket underneath it. You do, however, do a control check, but it's generally just not while you're taxiing the plane. So something that he did say that was correct was don't shoot the wing because the wing is full of fuel. Hollywood did get that correct because we do keep a lot of fuel in the wings. So good job, Hollywood. Let's get back to the movie. So if you have ever seen a plane before, you've seen a wing. And if you've seen the wing of a plane, you know there's not really a lot of hiding spots out on the wing of a plane. So I'm not really sure how Bruce Willis jumped out from behind something because it's the wing of a plane. It's not like there's a tree out there, but it is Hollywood and he is Bruce Willis, so anything's possible. Okay, let me get back to the movie.
I got enough friends!
So when the bad guy goes over the edge there and gets sucked into the jet engine, that's actually something that could happen. If you saw the video that I did of how a jet engine works, it's sucking in a lot of air. So I don't know that it would be at that speed enough to suck a person in, but it's possible. I've never tried it before. But Hollywood did get that right, and that's why he gets sucked into the engine like that. However, on the side of the engines of a 747, there is not a panel that says fuel dump in huge letters. It looks like this. I took a photo of this. It looks like this on the side. There are some panels out there, but there's no huge fuel dump panel. The fuel gets dumped out the back of the wings, not next to the engine, because obviously there would be a potential of a huge fire if you did that, so you're not going to be dumping fuel right next to the engines. All right, let's get back to the movie.
How's it going? Happy landing, asshole!
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
So if you're a fan of the Die Hard series, you know that tagline, Yippee-ki-yay, is like the go-to tagline for these movies. So there's a lot of one-liners because it's a 90s movie, so it makes it kind of funny. As for the rest of it, I don't really know what to say, but you can't really have a Die Hard movie without these funny one-liners from the 90s. All right, let's get to the last scene here.
Look! Look, okay! I see it! I see it!
Alright, that's the last scene, and I'm not really sure why that plane that has 3 engines has 4 thrust levers, but the thing that honestly concerns me the most is, why did these pilots see this huge explosion on the runway and think, yeah, that's where I want to go land right now? Alright crew, that's everything that I have on Die Hard 2. If you like the movie or you want to buy it, I'll put a link to it in the description below. As you can see, there's not as many educational, usable scenes like there was in Flight or in Castaway. But in the comment section below, I want you to let me know, which one did you think was less realistic? Die Hard 2 or Flight? I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.